Hello, I am Heidi Nakanishi, Executive Vice President of Human Relations at Q Bobcats Industries. My reason for this presentation is to update you on our ever-evolving regulations for our employees' code of conduct and integrity policies in virtual environments. Now, the world of business offers us a rite of passage to congregate with colleagues, near or far, for meetings being held for a variety of reasons. That could include training, marketing, conferences, even job fairs, interviews, and discussing the global workforce or business expos. Now, technology has granted us the luxury of saving time and money on travel for these events by enabling us to participate in functions that are held remotely through virtual worlds for all to access around the globe. Now, this form of communication has become prevalent amongst companies who are reaping the benefits of this arrangement by way of happier employees, resulting in improved productivity and decreased turnovers, as far as turnover rate in people quitting, being fired, and so forth, according to Intuit.com. Excuse me. Now, I'm sure that most of you are well acquainted with the concept of simulated realities, which are usually 2D or 3D virtual environments, often used during leisure time for gaming, such as World of Warcraft and Second Life. But in this particular instance, our focus is to be on interacting in a professional atmosphere. With that said, Second Life, or via Aura, would be more ideal for platforms to use in such a capacity. Now, there are some pros and cons to actually participating in a virtual environment that I'd like to go through with you. Now, one of the great things about being in a virtual environment, working with team members, colleagues, and meeting other potential business partners is that we create a social environment we can develop socially with this. We also can obtain interpersonal relationships, and it's actually good for emotional growth. It's not always good to stay in a cubicle all the time without any social interaction. So for some reason we're not able to travel outside of a building, at least we can get across the world and discuss something with other people and really have that opportunity to interact. Now, some of the bad things are that people create false identities. They try to, then they can frame someone or just create bad reputation for others by pretending that they're someone who they're not. Also, with gambling, people can get money, and when they have this money, they don't report their income. Once their virtual currency is converted to real money, there's lewd behavior. A number of things can happen, which unfortunately takes away from the joy of actually being involved in a virtual environment that's so convenient. So we have these simple guidelines, a few here, just so it's not overwhelming. As I mentioned before, I'm sure most of you are familiar with how we like our employees to interact in a virtual environment as well as in a live environment, a real life environment. So not too much is going to change from what we would normally expect of you in an office atmosphere. So as far as my mentioning that people using false identities, well, we ask that there are a few occasions where you may need to have a different identity. And if that's the case, if it's not your actual name, the names that should be used in your avatars may not be distasteful or misleading in any way. Nothing vulgar. It has to be clean, and it has to legitimize who you are and no one else. The avatars must maintain a professional appearance. So please don't show up in a bikini or a thong or any sort of nudity. That won't be accepted at all. As far as creating hostile environments, that is prohibited. And what I mean by hostile environment, that would be using ethnic slurs on minorities, or any sort of minorities, insults about gender, sexuality, religion, or any form of a discriminatory remark. This also includes sexual harassment, personal insults, or physical attacks. And I know a lot of people think that it's funny to hear physical attacks, but even in a virtual environment, it can happen, blocking people from access to certain files or not allowing them to get into certain rooms. In its own way, it's a form of a personal or a physical attack, and it's a form of bullying, and it will not be tolerated. Now, there's some food for thought that I would like to bring to your attention for you to think about, and these are also questions that have been brought up from other people. So in the event this is something that's been crossing your mind, I'd like to clarify about these things. For one of the things I'd like to discuss is it always a good idea to use a pseudonym? Now, as I mentioned before, we don't like anyone being misleading or using a false identity. Now, in general, using pseudonyms during business hours is not advised. One of the limited occasions where this practice would be acceptable is if there is more than one employee with the same name. Having an alternate name would help to decrease potential confusion about their identities. Now, are there ethical considerations to being anonymous on the internet? Well, there's a time and a place to remain anonymous while immersed in virtual experience. While in the presence of colleagues, management, and other business associates, well, that would not be one of those times. This is just as unattractive, unappealing as someone eavesdropping outside of an office door or a water cooler chat. This would be considered inappropriate and snooping, and for someone to not allow their identity to be known is in a form, it's just a questionable behavior which we would consider deemed to be sneaky, if you will. Now, when is it ethically appropriate to be a stranger, and when should you identify yourself? Now, granted, we know that if you're gaming or doing something on a social basis, then it's fine to be whomever you'd like to be. However, again, if you're in a work environment, we need to know who you are. So we have made some pros and cons, or what we consider to be ethical or unethical behavior when one is being anonymous, or when a person is choosing to be transparent. Now, for ethical behavior, as far as being anonymous, we believe that if you're interacting with a user who has no ties to our company and the conversation is not work-related, then it's fine to not reveal who you are. The minute that changes, then someone should definitely be notified of who you are, where or with for whom you work. As far as transparency, if you recognize a user as being affiliated with their company, then definitely you mention who you are. That's fine, to give out your personal information. If you're discussing our company or business matter that could be a conflict of interest, you definitely bring it to the person's attention. Also, if you express that your personal something of a personal opinion, you make sure to let them know that this is not your company's opinion, it's just yours, and that it may not reflect how we feel here at Q Bobcat Industries. Now, what's unethical is for you to knowingly interact with peers and management and colleagues and gain information that would not normally be given to you. And if this is intentionally done, it's unacceptable. or promoting products under the guise of being a consumer, or saying how much you like something, and not explaining to another company or a potential consumer that you actually do work for our company. That would be unacceptable. Now, ironically, we would think that it would be great to have transparency all the time, but that is a personal choice, and that should be for the actual persons to decide. So what I'm saying is, revealing the identity and or personal information about another person, another colleague or manager or business partner is unacceptable if you have not been given permission from those people or that person. Now, could there be conflicts in a work situation? Yes, there could be. Language barriers, for one thing. If you're going to another country or contacting someone of another country, they may not be able to understand you. With that comes cultural differences. Something that you might find funny could be insulting to them and they don't realize it. Even here in our own country, a time zone difference could affect someone. Say, one associate is wide-eyed and alert in the middle of the afternoon while they're meeting up with someone where it's they're living in a place where it's after midnight and they're tired and not functioning as well as the other, which could lead to questionable decision-making and misunderstandings. Also, someone who may not be as savvy on the computer could be a little bit slower, and if someone's not patient with that person, there could a lot of hostility could be created. And also a lack of face-to-face, actual physical, nonverbal communication can be misconstrued as some sort of insult or other negative interpretations because of their not being able to see what's going on. But conflicts can be beneficial because, contrary to popular belief, if a conflict is dealt with in a constructive manner, teams tend to develop trust, respect, and intimacy amongst their group. If problems are properly addressed, as studies have shown, then it will strengthen the team versus actually breaking down the structure that would hold the team together by not addressing the issues at hand. So I do appreciate your listening to me and watching this presentation. I hope that I've answered all the questions that you may have. If not, I definitely hope that you will contact me at my office. This is Heidi Nakanishi, and I hope that you have a great day. Bye-bye.